Um, Mara Buzurgo, Vadil, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm going to be speaking mainly in English. मगर अगर आपको चाहिए तो मैं थोड़े शब्द गुजराती में या फिर उर्दू में भी बोल सकता हूँ. But I'm going to need your help with this. So next 40 minutes is not time to relax. So this morning we're going to have a discussion on the purpose of life, inshallah. So I'd like to start off by asking for your opinion. What is the word for purpose in different languages? Maqsad. Maqsad is Urdu? Gujarati માં શું કહેવાય? મકસદ? હેતુ. કોઈ હેતુ સાંભળ્યું છે? Okay. Karan. Yeah. So cause, purpose, these words are interchangeable. Now, when it comes to our purpose, do we have a purpose? Who decides our purpose?
Can I give you answer in Urdu or Gujarati?
Whatever you like.
अल्लाह पाक कुरान पाक में कहता है कि भाई मैंने जिन इंसानों को पैदा न किया होता मगर मेरी इबादत के लिए. तो हमारा पर्पस यहाँ दुनिया में आना है अकॉर्डिंग टू इस्लाम वो इबादत है.
So Allah decides our purpose, and He's told us in the Quran. Okay. Any other suggestions? Who decides our purpose? Right.
Clarify that before I answer that.
Yeah. Now we're all going to have different ideas of what purpose means, but if we start off with the Quran, actually before the Quran, we decide: are we only gonna listen to the Quran? Are we gonna listen to the Quran a little bit? Who's familiar with the theological position of the Mu'tazilite and the Asharite? Just show of hands. Okay, so if I just give you a very brief, Mu'tazilites said that we have free will. Yeah, after death of Rasulullah, everyone was vying for different opinions. Yeah, the Mu'tazilites said, no, we have free will. The Asharites said, no, everything is predestined. So what's the answer? What does Shias believe? What's our theology?
There are two things which we cannot decide. Death, birth. We cannot decide suppose where you're going to be born, China, when you're going to die. I don't know.
So that's written.
But that is predestined. Everything else, we are free.
What about your pocket?
Everything.
What's in your pocket? Money. What about money? Is money predestined? Is your rizq written for you?
It's up to you if you work hard.
Some people will work really hard. Some people, I guarantee, have worked harder than all of us in this room, and they're nowhere. Some people, they've been lazy. They haven't worked as hard as anyone in this room, and they're much richer than us. Who decides that? Was that written? Kismet, yeah? Is that the Asharite position, predestination? Doesn't sound like it's the Mu'tazilite position.
Yes, it is being predestined. But there are certain acts which God has told us to do that can change your destiny,
Ahsan.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Why do we make dua? If everything was written, what's the point of dua? Every Laylatul Qadr, they say, your destiny for the next year is written. So the Shia, this is important for us that we understand that our theology, the fiqh, namaz, roza, hajj, all of that is part of the actions. But what is the basis, the roots? All of our tawheed, adal, nabuwa, imam, that is our theology. And a key part of our theology is that our Imams have shown us that our life is a combination of what has been written for us and what actions we can take. Now we bring this together with purpose. So as has been mentioned, Surah Ad-Dariyat, I have not created men except they should serve me. So your purpose is to serve your Lord. Did you think that we created you in play without any purpose and that you would not be brought back to us? Surah Al-Mu'minun. And I have created the jinn and humankind only for my worship. Ad-Dariyat. One more. Surah Al-Hujarat. O mankind, we have created you from male and female and made you into races and tribes so that you may what? Interact. So this is another one of our purposes. So the Quran and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us lots of what is predestined for us, what needs to be part of our purpose. But then the other part is up to us, free will. And Allah says that humankind is the best of all creation. Why? Are we the smartest?
Yes.
Are we smarter than the angels?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Are we the strongest?
Yes.
Are we stronger than the beasts? Who'd take on an elephant here?
Strong, not animals.
Not as fast as a cheetah.
But we are so smart that we can control the cheetah. Put them in the cage. We are so smart.
The reason we are the best of creation
फरिश्तों से बेहतर है इंसान बनना फरिश्तों से बेहतर है इंसान बनना मगर इसमें बनती है मेहनत ज्यादा
Mehnat comes in free will. You can live a life of free will and make easy decisions, but they're not the right decisions. The mehnat comes in making tough decisions. Now, how many of us had to make a tough decision recently? When was the last time you really made a tough decision? Yeah, you don't have to share with me what that tough decision was, but hold in mind that you were born in whichever country, but you now live in the UK. Yeah, you live with a certain level of benefits, a certain level of comfort. Why? Is this linked to your purpose? Why are you not in some war-torn country? Why are you not in poverty? There's a purpose. Or maybe there's no purpose if you just let it go by you. Easy life. Don't make any hard decisions. There will be a day where you'll be asked about your decisions. What day is that? Day of Judgment. Are you ready for that? This today hopefully can be part of your homework to prepare you for the Day of Judgment. Maybe when you go home today, you look at your bank balance, it's looking okay. You look at your family, it's looking okay. You look at your health, it's looking okay. These are for here. But for the hereafter, are you ready? Yeah. Knowing a bit more about our purpose hopefully guides us in that direction. In here, we have this organ that Allah has blessed us with that allows us to make those choices, to execute that free will. Anyone know what percentage of our brain, of your brain personally, what percentage of your brain have you utilized? Estimate some percentage. Less than 1%. Okay? Yourself? Ketla taka? According to your age? Yeah?
I think according to your education, if you are a judge or doctor or surgeon, your brain is going to work.
Okay. So if you've pushed yourself, maybe you've pushed your brain harder. But education is only one way. Which other ways? And this is more for you to reflect on. How much have I pushed my brain? How much have I used it? Because this brain is a blessing. Now, all the research we have from biological, sociological research, it all tells us that maximum 20%. Yeah, lots of research says about 2%. Yeah, so that means there's huge amount of brain capacity that we haven't used. 80% minimum that we haven't used.
So do you think the prime minister of the country is only 20%?
This is what the research says.
What is
Maximum would be even 5%.
Yeah, I mean, this is Haider Islamic Center is a charity, and we're non-partisan. But you can make your own guess of how much Boris uses his.
what about our president?
All our leaders. But this is the excellent point that human nature always likes to point the finger outwards. And on the day of judgment, we're not going to be asked how much did they use it. You're going to be asked how much did you use. So when we look in the mirror, we need to ask ourselves, how much am I using? These are my blessings. And this brings me on to another point in terms of our purpose. So first of all, we want to use all of our blessings. So on the day of judgment, when we're raised, when we're asked the questions, we want to have some answers. What did you do with your life? What did you do with the blessings? I gave you this health. I gave you this brain. I gave you this wealth. What did you do with it? Do you have your answers ready? Huh? Because whether you like it or not, the whole picture is going to be shown like this on a screen. Everyone can see. This is what he had. This is what he used. They might do.
Just one. I think some people might be using
Zoom.
Zoom. One of them want to ask the question.
Hasnain Kaki can inshallah help us. If anyone posts a question on Zoom, please let us know. So,
There's a question on Zoom. Please let Sarfraz.
Yes, please, thank you. If there is. So, we decide a little bit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides a little bit. You're only going to be able to answer the test paper if you read the test paper. And our insight into the test paper, which is linked to our purpose of life, is that we're being tested. We were in a realm before this world. We'll be put in a realm after this world. Barzakh, before we go on to the final destination. Why did we go from the realm before this world into this realm? Why was your soul put into this body? When I was younger, I used to get a bit upset. I was like, why have I got it so hard? Why did Allah put my soul in this body? Why didn't He just put my soul in Rasulullah's body? Then I could have been the best of creation. Yeah? This is what I used to think as like a 10, 12-year-old. And then I realized that, in that realm before this existence, my soul wasn't purified. My soul didn't incline towards God and goodness. So it didn't deserve to be put in Rasulullah's body. It deserved to be put in this body. But I've got every opportunity, as we all have, to make the most, to ascend to a higher plane, to still be able to have a chance on the day of judgment of giving a good account of ourselves. Now, the fourth of our usul is what? Yeah. Usul al-Din. What's the fourth one? Imamat. Imamat. Yeah. So he who dies without knowing the Imam of his time dies what? Jahil. So we know the Imam of our time? Yeah. Maybe to varying degrees. Yeah. Yeah. So speaking to your Imam is one way of trying to establish a connection, reading about your Imam, understanding who he is, but also thinking that if he comes tomorrow, where am I going to be? I'm going to be like, hey, Salam Imam, I'm here. Let me know what you want me to do. He's not waiting to come and give you instruction. He's waiting to come and hear what you've got to give. When enough people know what they have to give, he's ready to come. He's not holding back for any reason other than us. So we want to have a plan, and this can link to our purpose. What does Imam Zamana want from you? Do you have anything you can give? So you would only know that if you've done an analysis. So let me start with you. What just thinking out loud, any suggestion, what do you think Imam Zamana might want from you?
That you are a normal person, you are pious, trustworthy, all those etiquettes that follow from arms like that, in character, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to have good character. But what can we do with that character? We need to be specific.
We would be required to have remarked his mission, what the mission is.
So we don't know the mission. We don't know the mission? We don't know the mission? We do. So let's hear it. Don't keep it a secret. What's the mission?
Our Lord, it's difficult to quantify, specify what's going to happen, what's going to reappear in another 200 years, 400 years.
The mission is the same. The variation is the worst.
The world would have changed so much.
So this is part of our research. We need to know, have some idea of what that fairness, equity, and justice. Yeah, the difference between the world as it is and the world as it should be. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to do lots of research to know that there's a gap between the world as it is and the world as it should be. When Rasulullah came, why did he come at that point in history, in that location? It was Jahiliyyah. And again, why are we told that if we don't know the Imam of our time, we die the death of a Jahil? Same reason. We have to have an awareness. You watch the news, I'm assuming. Why do you watch the news? To understand the world as it is, to be aware. But there's no good just having that awareness if you don't know where you want the world to go. If you don't use that to help you understand what the gap is. And this is where purpose comes in again. Helping you to move from where the world is to where it should be. Because that's when Imam Zamana comes, that's exactly his purpose. That's his mission, his plan. No, that's not complicated, there's no secrets. Taking it socially, economically, morally, environmentally, from where it is to where it should be. To return that amana to our Creator who's gifted it to us in the best way. And you all have a role in it. You could just drift off, in the next week, in the next year, in the next decade, into your death. And you could drift off sleeping. But I would argue, and I'll be provocative here, that if you're not working to make a difference, if you're not living your purpose, you're already dead. You're just walking around dead.
Yeah, our soul is dead.
Your account is not progressing. Whether you die today or in 20 years' time, on the day of judgment, it didn't make a difference. The only thing was you just wasted 20 years. So today we can at least start with a niyat, with an intention. And to help us figure out our purpose, to guide us on this journey, I'd like to introduce you to an equation. Hasnain, are you able to share the diagram for the equation? Ikiyagi. So ikiyagi is a Japanese word, and it means Um, it has a few meanings. One is purpose. It also simultaneously means lifetime and every day. So our purpose, achieves what we want to across a lifetime, but it's lived every day. And it has 4 key ingredients in this equation. And this is why I asked Shabir uncle, and kindly he's obliged with this pen and paper. No, you don't have to use the pen and paper. You can use the notes on your phone, or if you've got incredible memory, you can memorize this and apply it. But these 4 ingredients are, what do you love? Number 1. Number 2, what are you good at? What are your blessings? Because you're not good at anything without the permission of your Lord. So your Lord allows you to be good at something. What does the world need? Now, this Ikiagi conception maybe is a more secular conception. We can bring it a spiritual twist by saying we're not so concerned about what the world needs per se, but it's what does my Imam need? If I truly believe that there is some savior, some 12th Imam, Imam Zamana, then what does that Imam Zamana need? What's going to bridge the gap from where the world is to where it needs to be? And then the last one, what pays? Why not? If you can make money out of all of these things, then brilliant. Maybe you don't need to make the money. Maybe you're at a stage in life where you've got enough financial security, so maybe it doesn't matter so much. But certainly those first 3 ingredients need to be analyzed. So let's get a few ideas. What do you love? Keep it up. Okay, nice broad concept. Break it down for me. What do you like about the dunya?
Everyday life.
So what is it about today that you liked?
The weather.
The weather?
Food,
The food?
my friends and family.
Yeah. So relationships, community. So that's one really nice specific example of something you love. What are you good at? What are your blessings? So what are you good at?
I'm good at just about everything in proportion.
Yeah.
Not extremely.
What stands out for you?
Quite satisfied. I'm happy with where I'm at. I have no regrets in that.
So in terms of one of your skills,
People are rich, have big cars, yet the envy is a half.
yeah. So you've achieved a level of satisfaction, but just breaking it down to one of your skills. Yeah. I mean, this is something. Accountant. So one of your skills is counting.
The beans.
Yeah, the beans. Okay. So love of the community, good at beans, good at accounting. What else are you good at?
Serving the community.
Serving the community. What skills do you have that make you good at serving the community?
Human task. How
Interaction? Yeah. Yeah.
Understanding people.
Yeah.
And trying to solve community problems.
Problem solving? I want each one of you. Sorry? Sending people to grave?
That is bad.
Helping them into the grave? No. It's a logistical talent. Yeah.
That's one of my skills, to make sure people get to their destination, Akhira destination, in a nicest, properly way,
with respect, with dignity, without ashraf of wasting grave spaces. Yeah. So
in a good environment.
These are specific skills. Now, I'm gonna challenge you that if you're not sharing with me any of your skills, 2 reasons. A, because you're ungrateful and you've never reflected on your blessings. That's a really ugly one. Or that you're just feeling a bit shy. Yeah, but we're all brothers. Or maybe a little bit confused. So we've already heard example of one of my skills is I'm good at counting. One of my skills is I'm good at interacting. Let's say I want to hear one from each person. One skill.
You have that pharmacist, doctor,
And I don't want to hear about anyone else. I want to hear about me. So the conversation today is I conversation. Me, I.
Can I add another one?
No.
Sharing my knowledge.
I want to hear from everyone, so everyone has the chance.
I love when you believe.
Okay, so we'll come back to love. What are you good at? What's your blessings?
The reason
No, I don't want to hear the reason. What are you good at?
to see the world created by
No, that's not what you're good at. That's what you enjoy.
No, but what he does to motivate, can I just
Good
say
at conversation.
He's good at conversation.
No.
Okay?
People laugh.
Quite social,
Asking
but
questions.
what I think the other thing I can add on is while serving holidays, it does extend, open up your horizon. It's good for you.
So yeah, so this is good for you. But here, because I want us to really focus on this, I want us to pick out our blessings. In madrasa, I learned something beautiful as a teacher about a year ago. That the best thing to do after each salah, there's 7 steps that you take in sajda. You start with salawat, then you praise Allah, then you thank Allah for your blessings, then you pray for other people, then you pray for forgiveness, then you ask for your hajat, and you finish with salawat.
Is that the chronological?
Exactly that order. That's what's been recommended to us. So the third one there was to thank Allah for our blessings. So at least 5 times a day, we've got the chance to say, Ya Allah, thank you for my health. Thank you for making me have a good conversation. Thank you for my wife. Thank you for my children. These are all blessings. Yeah?
And we take them so much
For granted. But when you pray and you make that dua, it stops you taking it for granted. I recently had an accident. I lost part of my finger. And my first reaction was my family, okay. The second reaction was, Alhamdulillah, I've still got 9.
And you don't appreciate the goodness of having one foot.
Exactly.
When you start writing or lifting,
Yeah.
you realize, oh my God,
It's the
this
concept
is
of
hindrance.
half full.
You understand?
Glass which is half full.
Absolutely. So we can choose to focus on what we don't have,
Negative. Always negative.
which brings our soul down, or we focus on what we do have. And this is my question to you. And I have to say, I'm a little bit surprised that it's not easier for us to say, this is my skill. I'm wondering if there's a bit of a East-West dichotomy. So in Western culture, it's good to celebrate yourself. In Eastern culture, we try to be humble. But we have to be careful. We don't let our humility drown out our gratitude for blessings. So if someone's good at interacting and making jokes, that's not their skill. That's the skill that they were gifted. If someone's good at counting and accounting, that's not their skill. It's the skill that was given.
But human nature is such that you never appreciate what you have. The desire is always
Our
there.
brother
Something
Shabir
that
is
you don't
skilled
have.
as is just come.
And this is the problem.
Unlimited. Human
That,
wants
oh,
are limited.
I'm going to have that. I'm going to
Yeah.
that. That.
And it blinds us from our connecting with...
So much blessing from God, but we never appreciate that.
No.
Sarfraz, since Brother Shabir has just joined us, ask that question to him, please, so we can hear what is his skill.
Shabir Bhai, you can tell us. What is one of the skills that you were gifted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Cooking.
Ability to make good food. Ability to organize a group of people.
I'm very good at being straight.
Thank you. Thank you. And to say that, not out of arrogance, but out of gratitude. So each one of you, again, I encourage you, just find what is it you've been gifted with and acknowledge it. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to share the gift that someone else has. So I'm going to kill the mic for a second. I want you to turn to your partner and tell them one gift that they have. You've got 30 seconds.
What do you define gift as?
You, my friend, are good at this. You turn to someone. Yeah. What he's good at.
No, no, no. All speech. All about
If you get up out of your chair, you're sharing this blessing with each other. One thing you like about someone.
You know, so far, there's this session. You must have been to that training when somebody says something, same thing, and you guess by the time
Chinese whispers.
what you call that?
Chinese whispers.
No, but it gets corrupted.
Hmm.
The one sentence totally by the time it goes around, the cycle is totally corrupted.
And this is the miracle.
Bible.
And this is the miracle of the Quran, isn't it?
70 years after.
Okay, well, thank you very much for just pushing yourself a little bit outside of your comfort zone and sharing with each other the gift that you've seen with them, not to make them arrogant, but to get them to be grateful that this is what I have received. And it's only with a good understanding of your own gifts, it's only a good understanding of your own blessings that you can now combine that with what you saw in the diagram. The combination of what I love and what I love plus what I'm good at equals my passion. What I love and what the world needs is my mission. And if you combine it with pay, what I'm good at and what pays is my profession. What pays and what the world needs is my vocation. So vocation, profession, passion, mission, what I'm good at, what I'm blessed with, what I love, what the world needs, all these things combine to give us our purpose. I've given you the ingredients. Now you just have to find what those ingredients are to help you establish your purpose.
The bottom line is most of the final purpose of the life.
It's
one purpose.
so going back to what the Quran said, our purpose is to worship our Lord. But that doesn't mean that we just have to sit on musalla. That's not worship. That's one form of worship. That's the highest mandated, predestined form of worship. But the choice, the free will, needs a deeper reflection on all the things we've just talked about. Now, maybe if I give you an example of what a purpose statement, and you'll see most big corporates now have a mission statement. Yeah, ultimately their bottom line is profit, but how are they going to achieve that profit is part of their mission statement. But as part of your personal mission or vision statement, purpose statement, you reflect on your blessings. So my one, for example, is to unlock the potential of people through well-being and education. So am I living my purpose? Well, I work in the NHS as a clinical psychologist, so I support people with their well-being. I work at a university and I train people in therapy and psychology, so I do it through education. I volunteer at the madrasa, again through education, trying to unlock people's potential. At the end of my life, on the Day of Judgment, whether Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes me in the next 1 hour or in the next 50 years, I'm trying to prepare myself to say, you gave me the ability to speak. You gave me the ability to understand. You gave me the ability to read and research. What did I do with that? I tried to improve people's well-being. I tried to educate people. And in the bargain, I earned my risk in a halal way. This is just one example. Now, before I wrap up, there's one last part to this, that in different stages of life, our purpose varies. So as a child, as an adolescent, my purpose is to become educated, to learn how to deal with this world. As a young adult, my purpose now takes a bit of a shift. I have to establish myself on my 2 feet. I have to create security. I need to put a roof over my head and food on my table and maybe start a family. In my middle adulthood, I have to consolidate that. I have to start developing myself more professionally. I have children now that I need to raise. It's not just about putting food in their mouth. I have to give them wisdom. But then in my older adult life, how does my purpose change there? Have I given everything I had to give? Or is there more? Evolutionary biology has come up with a theory. Our cells, we're made up of billions of cells. In the DNA of our cells, it tells each cell how many times to regenerate. So throughout your life, your cells regenerate. One dies, it's replaced. One dies, but it reaches a limit. It reaches a limit till you get to about roughly your 80s. After that, cell regeneration slows down and eventually stops because your time is up. Why are our cells programmed to only regenerate? You've noticed? Right. Maybe brain cells are not regenerating. Maybe they're not regenerating because we're not giving them the right fuel and exercise. Or you could be being modest. Now, one of the theories is that our cells only regenerate a certain number of times so that we can live long enough to help our children's children. Yeah. That we are created. That's it. That part of our maqsad is to help our children raise their children. Why? Because there's a wisdom that only a grandparent can bring. Yeah. As parents, you've all been parents, maybe, and you've given wisdom to your children, but you knew that time in your life you had limited experience. Now you've had more experience.
But sometimes grandparents is not educated, grandchildren are very educated. So
Education's got nothing to do. Education is zero.
What he means is that the generation gap.
Maybe, yeah. So like Imam Ali says, you raise children according to the needs of their time, not in the way your forefathers did. But education has 0%. As a psychologist, I see people who are ridiculously educated and useless parents. Education's got no link. Love, common sense, compassion, wisdom. These things are much more important. So never underestimate the importance of being a grandparent. This is part of your purpose. You've been put on this earth. You've been allowed to live up until this point so that you can be a grandparent. Yeah. But remember that you have the opportunity now, again, on the Day of Judgment, when you'll be told, I let you live until 80 years old. What did you do with your time? I watched Netflix. I had samosa. We went for a nice walk. No, this answer is not going to cut it.
But man is entitled to some of it.
Oh, of course. You need a balance. Everyone needs a balance. But like you would say to your children and your grandchildren, the balance means don't lose sight of what's necessary. First do what's necessary, then you do the enjoyment. So have you taken care of your responsibility to your children, your grandchildren, your community, to the world? And you all do it in unique ways. Not everyone is good at sports. So they won't play sports with their grandchildren. But they'll have some other insight. And maybe I'll just take my last moment of privilege as speaker to say, my dad, he was not good at sports. Yeah, as a sporting support, I didn't get anything because he wasn't interested. But in politics, every day after the news, he would sit me down and say, "So what did you learn?" He would say, "Okay, so what's the implication of this? Who's got the power here? How does this affect Muslims?" And this is something that he can now do for my children. So you're not off the hook yet. Yeah, you have to keep that responsibility because that's not a gift that I have. Yeah. And each one of you have that skill, but you have to pick it out. You have to look for it. You have to identify it so that you can use it. So finally, the challenge for you, the homework. And can I just have a rough show of hands? How many of you are investing right now? Investors or in past have done investment? Investment in money. Property, stock market. Even if you put your money in a bank account with good interest rate, you're an investor. Yeah. So the cardinal rule of the investor is you must get a return. So you can advise best. Now, you all invested last 45 minutes of your time here. What's your return? The return is not in knowledge, but in amal. Knowledge is what you're going to do with knowledge. Knowledge is not going to help you on the day of judgment. When Allah asks you, what did you do? I got knowledge. Okay, but knowledge is for a purpose. Otherwise, knowledge, you might as well sit with a book in the library. Just sit on the shelf like this, full of knowledge. No good. You have to act on it. So your action plan, your homework from today, if you really are an investor, reflect on what gifts I have, how do they link to my purpose, and how can I just take one small step? What is going to be different in this coming week compared to the previous week? Because again, this is a saying of the Imams, that if 2 days are the same, there's something wrong. You don't want to be a living dead. Make each day, each week, each year count, so that on the day of judgment, you feel more confident that I've got some answers. Okay. So. Yes, please.
For questions, please. Anybody, if you have questions,
One simple thing is that because of our age, like 67, don't expect a dramatic change in our life. So as you said, if you manage to just look at the betterment, then the self-achievement.
Definitely. Yeah. You 20%? It's 30, 40. How much percent do you want to use? This is your free will.
So the physical dimension, the practical.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I think it's an excellent question. So each one of you could just say, I'm going to do one thing different in the next week. I'm going to do one thing with the intention of this being a sawab jariyah. Glad you're here, Rizwan Bhai. In a few Sundays' time, we have this Milad Nabi and Christmas. So, the verse of the Quran that I quoted about how Allah has put us here to get to know one another. If there is greater unity between Muslims and Christians, will this help Imam Zamana? It will. So that's one step you can take. I make a commitment that I'm going to go with Rizwan Bhai and I'm going to build greater unity. And then I've done something that's more purposeful. Who knows where the ripples of that behavior go? Maybe me going inspires other people.
one last question, please. Anybody?
First statement,
statement. One
You
last
know,
question.
injury is don't leave your faith and your Muslim camp and become a Christian.
No danger of that.
I'm just joking.
Especially if you keep having good nasto like this, you'll always come back here.
One last question or statement
You are very friend. Iman.
before I close.
It's not bad. You came too late to be a Christian or Muslim.
Yes. Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Ahmad Mare.